Hello, I have chapter 15 for you. They remained together until June and became fast friends. Gower said he would be leaving as soon as he regained his strength and the swiftness of the stream had sufficiently subsided. I wish I could carry you off the island, he told Abel, but I'll have enough trouble making it by myself. I'm not what I used to be in my mating days. But you could carry a rope across for me, Abel said, and he outlined his original plan for a rope bridge. That doesn't make sense, said Gower. Do you realize how far down the river I'll be when I hit the other side? That rope would have to be thousands of lily pads long. And having it attached to me, maybe catching on things and all, that could give me a heart attack. I'm no tadpole, you know. But you will come back with rescuers, won't you? Abel asked. Sure as shootin', said Gower. That'll be the first order of business. And you will get in touch with my wife, won't you? I'll give you her address. Wife? Said Gower. Oh, I've told you about her many times, said Abel. That's her statue. Oh, yes, said Gower. Of course, I remember. He was always forgetting things. One day, Abel started on a statue of his new friend. As he shaped the clay, they talked. Abel learned that Gower played bass fiddle in a small orchestra whose specialty was country music. He had great-grandchildren by the dozen, all of whom were musical, and was happy with his old wife, though they often quarreled and spent whole days sitting around in a huff, trying to remember what they were angry about. Once Gower had asked Abel what his trade or profession was. Well, I really haven't found what I'm good at yet, Abel answered. Well, the only real work I've ever done has been here on this island. Holy bloater! What did you live on? Gower wanted to know. Well, my mother has provided for me quite well, Abel answered. We're quite well off. Gower grinned. Well, you sure don't look it, he commented, surveying Abel's frayed trousers and stained, tattered shirt. Well, I usually dress better than this, said Abel, laughing. For a moment he was embarrassed, but then he wiped the clay off his paws with the tail of his shirt. Abel talked with Amanda about her poetry, her grace, her tendency to dream. He speculated on why her movements, her gestures, her voice, her way of dressing were so much more charming and heart-winning than those of any other female most that he had ever known, including his own dear mother and his favorite sister. It just puzzled him. Here is a picture of Abel working on a statue of his toad friend right there as they're talking. It's the magic of love, burped Gower. Could you raise your chin just a little bit higher? Abel asked. Gower didn't move. He was in one of his reptilian torpors again. Then he crouched with heavy-lidded, unseeing eyes, not asleep, not awake, not dead, not alive, still as a stone, gyrating with the world. Abel watched him in wonder. Gower's eyelids lifted slightly, and his tongue suddenly shot forward and nailed a fly, which he swallowed. This feat always impressed Abel, but also disgusted him too. Could you raise your head a trifle? He asked again. It took a week to complete the statue. It was the best Abel had ever done, a perfect representation of stupefied repose. Every wart was lovingly modeled. The eyes bulged properly. The full throat with the delicate wrinkles of age was definitely Gower's. The fulsome belly, the haunches and feet rested firmly on the ground. There was a vague smile on the broad mouth and in the lines of the closed eyelids that made the frog appear to be meditating on some homey universe. Abel was so proud of his accomplishment, he wished he could show it to Amanda that minute. Well, what do you think of it? He asked Gower. It's me, all right, Gower said. It's more me than what I see in the mirror. It's what I see when I imagine how I look. It's a work of art. That's what it is. Abel allowed the compliment to stand. Looking at his own opus, he saw no reason to pretend modesty. I think you've found your vocation, opined Gower. Something you're good at. Abel swallowed and blushed. He had never thought along these lines. Chapter 16. Let me see how long it is. Oh, we'll do it. Early one morning in the middle of June, Abel heard a knocking on his log and he stepped outside. It was Gower, who'd been sleeping by the river. His manner seemed less than casual. "What's up?" Abel inquired. "I've been watching the water," said the frog. "It's not as rushy as it was." Actually, the river had returned to normal a week earlier, but Gower had been unusually meditative lately. "I think I can make it to the other side." "Oh, why so soon?" Abel asked, full of sudden foreboding. "We're just getting to know one another. Aren't you happy here? Have I offended you in any way?" "I'm happy, all right," Gower glumped, "but I'm worried. I've been thinking of Gammer, my wife, and all the children, and their children, and their children's children. They can't be getting on too well without me." "Oh, how I hate to see you go," sighed Abel. "I hate to go," allowed Gower. "Well, then don't," said Abel. "My family," said Gower. "I'm your family," said Abel. Gower's eyes bulged. "You're a mouse," he said. "How about some breakfast?" asked Abel. "No, thanks," said Gower. "I've been eating flies all morning. They're at their best today." "You won't forget to come back with help, will you?" Abel pleaded. "And you will get in touch with Amanda, 89 Bank Street, Mossville." "Don't worry," said Gower. "Don't forget," said Abel. "Oh, could I?" said Gower. "It's the first thing I'll do after I get home and see my family." Then he went into his trance. His eyes rolled up under the lids as if he were storing a memory there for future use. When his absent mind returned, they walked down to the water, both sad to be parting. "Knowing you, dear Gower, has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life," said Abel. "Ditto," said Gower. "Shucks, why grieve? It's only temporary. That's a great statue that you made of me. It'll be in a museum someday, I bet." "Thank you," said Abel. "I'll have to play my bull fiddle for you when we meet again." "We will meet again, won't we?" said Abel. "You won't forget?" "You bet," said Gower. He was standing on the bank of the river with bowed legs. "Farewell, my friend." He put a cold hand on Abel's shoulder. There's a picture of Gower going to tell him he's leaving and them walking down to the river's edge. "Farewell, good Gower," said Abel in a husky voice. Gower dived. He disappeared under the water, and in a while his head bobbed up far out and downstream. He waved back with his webbed hand. Abel waved. And then Gower was off and swimming, a strong breaststroke, making lateral headway, but also being carried downstream until he disappeared, at least from sight. Picture of him in the water, swimming away, being carried downstream too. Abel was certain that the frog would make the other bank. He wished he could swim as well. He watched the empty river for a while, then walked back to his log in tears. He sat on a stone, looking with wet eyes at a blurred world of statues, Amanda, Gower, and the others, at the daisies beyond the statues, at the tall silent trees. He could not stand his own sorrow. The watch ticked away without feeling. Abel got up, went to the cherry birch, climbed up to his roost. He sat there all day, not thinking, just numb. At night, his star appeared. "I'm lonesome," Abel said when he saw it. "So am I," the star seemed to answer. Here's him after Gower left, and he went and just kind of sat, stared at his statues and everything else. That is the end of chapter 16. I will be back with more.